Error again, Mark.
Might still be working.
Broadcast error. Please try again. I don't understand. I haven't done anything different. Fetching stream videos. Take a few seconds.
And it's live. You're live, buddy.
We're live.
Good morning. How are you?
A little bit of technical difficulty this morning, Mark, but I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good, bud. It's a very unusual. But what are we talking about this morning?
This morning, we're going to talk again a little bit about speed, which is a bit of a common theme in the office, but speed in responding. So imagining if you've got someone at 7:30 on a Sunday morning inquiring on properties, does the agent who responds in 2 minutes or 10 minutes get a better outcome for the vendor than the agent that responds Monday morning when they get to the office?
Interesting. What do you reckon?
Look, I think it's dependent on the vendor and their motivations, I would believe. But from a buyer's perspective, if you've got an agent who's going to message you back the second you've sent your request through or your inquiry through, you're going to be thinking, shit, this guy means business. He's serious. He wants to get this going. So, look, I think from a buyer's perspective, it's awesome. And from a vendor, you can't get very much. You can't give very much more than that, can you? It's not waiting for a pool. What about you?
Look, the devil's advocate would be saying that the person wants to spend $500,000 or $1 million, they can wait. And the devil's advocate would say, look, it doesn't really matter whether this person's going to, they're still going to see the property. If they're not going to be serviced, or if they're not going to go through on the Sunday, they're going to go through the next open house. And if they don't go through the next open house, well, they're not very serious.
Yep. But what about from the vendor's perspective? Do you think, not that they would necessarily know this, but if you think you've got someone that's inquired at 7:30 on a Sunday morning and they don't get spoken to until 10 or 11 on Monday?
Yep.
That's not really showing your vendor your best interest, is it? Or you're interested best in them.
Yeah, but you know what, the buyers, and don't get me wrong, listen, I'm not supporting this, but I'm just showing that opposite, the equal and opposite, because you were the equal and opposite this morning when we started talking about it. And I gave an example this morning, guys, of I walked into an Apple store on Friday, and I got a temperature check, I got a mask, I read from the first guy, and I told him that I read the series of questions that I didn't have COVID. I had a second person, I did that, and I was like, this is getting really hard. Yeah. Then they said, what are you here for? And I said, I just wanted to have a look at some, what you guys have got that's new. This is about customer service. Yeah. And this is about servicing people straight away. And they turned around and said, oh, look, yeah, no worries. Mike will help you. So then Mike turns up. He said, hey, sir, have you read the questions? And I said, yes. He said, are you positive in any of their questions? I said, no. He looked at the mask. He said, what are you here for? And I said, I'm here for to look at some just doing a bit of shopping. I'm here with my daughter. Anyway, hey?
Having a browse.
So I walk through and I get to the cases. I said, I wouldn't mind having a look at some cases. Then I see some drones and have a look at some drones. I'm talking to the guy and he said, sir, are you here to buy anything? And I said, yeah, look, possibly, sure, if I find something I like. And he said, well, there's 3 people standing at the door. They're waiting to come in so they can buy something. I have to ask you to leave.
Wow.
And I was like,
all right then. Sound went for a second there, Mark.